Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis of the preseason opening win 31-25 over the Jacksonville Jaguars Saturday night. Might just be preseason meaningless in a lot of ways, especially of course in the scoreboard, but always nice to get a win to kick off the 2025 season. Let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. So, Pittsburgh winning this one 31-25. The quarterbacks really running the show and looking like the veterans they are who have NFL and playoff experience. And that is a real difference maker in this game when you have guys that have been there, done that, not the wide-eyed rookies who often come in and play like wide-eyed rookies first time inside a stadium. So Rudolph and Skylar Thompson both playing really well, effectively, efficiently. Rudolph 7-7, touchdown on the opening drive, a great throw down the left seam to Darnell Washington. So Rudolph moving things effectively, hit Roman Wilson a couple times earlier in that drive, and just really solid overall. Then Thompson relieving him midway through the second quarter and basically finishing the game out. Logan Woodside handed the ball off a couple times late, but Thompson really the star of the game, over 200 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Just some really nice plays, too. The one to Max Hurlman in the first half, but the last one to Keyshawn Williams standing tall in the pocket, throwing up a good 50-50 ball, and Williams making a really nice snag. Kind of showed some really high-level moments there for Skylar Thompson, the backup offensive line. Had some issues in this one, and I thought Thompson stood tall and made plays. So both those guys, not just in the touchdowns, but just being clean operationally, center exchanges, handoffs, no delay games, getting in and out of the huddle, all things you would expect from veterans, obviously. But when you're dealing with new guys and rookies, you're on the road, even though a bunch of Steelers fans, of course, in Duval on Saturday. It's just good to be able to see that the first time out, especially for somebody like Thompson that's new, or somebody that's not new in Rudolph to Pittsburgh, but new to Arthur Smith as their connection and their relationship grows. That's a really good first step there. So the quarterback's really good in this one. Running backs, Caleb Johnson got a lot of burn, a lot of playing time in this one. The lanes really weren't there. The backup offensive line really struggled run blocking. Johnson could have cleaned up some things too. Had a drop and probably, some stuff in the run game he likely could have improved upon. We'll check the tape on that. But I thought a little bit of, burst to the outside, a couple of plays there. So just good to get his feet wet for the first time and handle a decent amount of snaps as well. Pretty quiet otherwise. Evan Hull, some good effort plays in the second half. And Lou Nichols, backup running back, impressed me with some tough runs late in this game. At tight end, Darnell Washington with a touchdown catch, and that's really indicative of the camp that he's had, where he's made plays, as a downfield receiver, solid hands, catches away from his body, really hard to knock the ball out of his hands once it's secured, and he's a build-up runner. He's got to get a runway, but down the seam, not sure if that was 4 verts against cover 3 or what that was, but it was Washington down the seam and making a nice catch and finishing the play for a 19-yard touchdown. So he's made basically those identical plays throughout training camp, and it's nice to see that translate inside a stadium. Pittsburgh pretty thin at tight end tonight. Pat Frymuth, Jonnu Smith were rested. The rookie DJ Thomas Jones did not play, so Pittsburgh only had Washington, and then primarily in the second half, Connor Hayward, who caught a couple passes, and the rookie J.J. Galbraith. Neither really stood out in a big way overall, but they got a lot of reps. We'll check the blocking on them. At receiver, a fair amount to talk about. Roman Wilson, really his first extensive playing time of his career, picked up all of 5 snaps last year because of injuries, so he played, I don't know what the snap count is right now, but 20-plus snaps, I'm sure. Had a nice catch for 20-something yard gain in this one and finished with 2 receptions on the day. That catch being contested and finishing the play over the middle on a good ball from Mason Rudolph. So nice to see Wilson, I think, after a quiet start, be able to slowly stack and get better day after day, week after week, and then translating that to a stadium performance. Other receivers to note here, some of the rookies. Max Hurlman making plays, caught the touchdown late in that first half, which was a 2-minute drill. Pittsburgh reps 2-minute drills almost daily in practice. They really mirror their camp practices to situational football. That's why they do 7 shots. It's why they do a goal line drill each year. It's why they do 2-minute drills repeatedly. And Thompson and Hurlman hooked up there. So, Hurlman making a case to stick on the practice squad. A guy that's a good athlete, did a backflip in the end zone after his touchdown, had a tackle on the punt team late in this one. That's a guy that has to be able to help in more ways than just receiver. Then he can do that he can play different positions. He's played running back in college, receiver, corner, returner, punt returner specifically. So he's worn a lot of hats in college and in the NFL in his brief time with Pittsburgh. Keyshawn Williams made some plays. He's a good athlete. He's got speed. The hands were questionable. He dropped some passes in camp. Had that really nice snag on that 50-50 ball in this one. I think 2 catches for 55 yards on a score in this game. Had a good punt return for 27 yards that was called back on a hold. So that's a guy doing a lot of things in this one. So he's vying for a spot on the practice squad as well. It's pretty competitive. You have Scotty Miller fighting for a spot too. Brandon Johnson. Johnson pretty quiet tonight. Miller, I think, a catch or two. But that battle will continue. It's got to be more than just one game, but good starts for those rookies. Offensive line, I was impressed with the first team offensive line. Everyone but veteran left guard Isaac Seumalo played. Of course, you got to go through the tape, the all-22, which I have not done an hour or so after the game ended, but just on first watch, it felt good. Watched the touchdown from Rudolph to Washington pocket, really clean there. Spencer Anderson, Broderick Jones, Fautanu, Zach Frazier, the whole line really keeping that pocket for Rudolph to throw and deliver that touchdown to Washington. So I thought nice job overall in pass protection. Run blocking, maybe not quite as good, but they came out throwing. I mean, Arthur Smith was pretty aggressive in this one and let the quarterbacks do their thing, and the offensive line gave Rudolph time. Even the sack Rudolph took was 5 or 6 seconds of protection, which is an eternity in the NFL. So do not blame the offensive line for that. Second team offensive line, certainly rougher. Pass pro was better than the run blocking, but the run blocking was really bad, and the pass pro waned late in this one too. So not really seeing the standouts there. They've had some injuries. No Calvin Anderson, the backup tackle, the swing tackle. No Ryan McCollum, the backup center. They were pretty shorthanded. And rookies like Gareth Warren struggle in this one, but the unit overall not really standing out in a big, meaningful way. Will Pittsburgh have to look for offensive line help during cutdowns? It's going to be slim. It's hard to find good offensive linemen this time of year. No one's parting ways with them, but I think Pittsburgh will be searching. Defensively, obviously, a lot of veterans and starters not playing in this one. No TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig. The pass rush really wasn't there, but I expected more from this pass rush in this game, even knowing those horses and those stars weren't playing. You had Derek Harmon, you had Keanu Benton, you had Jack Sawyer. I mean, you had some guys that could certainly get after the quarterback and have had nice training camps, and it really wasn't there. So got to watch the tape. Again, these are all first initial analysis that can, and I'm sure in many cases will change. But Harmon felt quiet, nothing on the stat sheet. Same with Benton. Sawyer, a little bit of action, a little bit of pressure late, but just overall not translating that camp performance. And these things ebb and flow. He had some chips, and he had a fair amount of attention tonight, but was hoping for a bit more from this pass rush. It was, opportunities, got Jacksonville backed up on some penalties, some tackles for losses, some second and third longs, and the rush really didn't get home until maybe very, very late. But yeah, overall, a little disappointing, I thought, for that front seven, or really that core rush that really never materialized. Inside linebackers, I thought Peyton Wilson played well. He had the green dot tonight with Patrick Queen, getting the game off and resting, so communication, I can't speak exactly to how well it went, but seemed to go pretty well overall. No obvious issues that you can tell by watching the game live. Had a good tackle on that first drive, was clean, came downhill, made the stop, so that's good. Cole Holcomb being healthy, looking good. That's a big milestone for him, his first game back since that severe knee injury suffered in 2023, that November, that cost him the rest of that season and all of last year. His first game since. He moved around well, helped influence a breakup in the flat. And so those are big boxes to check for him, for the coaching staff, earn trust in himself, and coaching staff to really fully trust him. He has a good chance to make the 53-man roster. Carson Bruner, some work on special teams, had the opening tackle on the first kickoff, which is very much his background. It was an ace teamer at Washington. He was a backup his first 3 years before becoming a starter. His senior season, still playing on special teams that senior year for the Huskies. So 53, probably going to be tough. Mark Robinson, I think, has the inside track, but Bruner making some plays there. And then with the edge guys, to go back to that quickly, DeMarvin Leal, I thought it had a nice camp. Pretty quiet, though, today, so check the tape on that. But I was hoping more from a guy like Leal, a veteran, who didn't quite look like a veteran and did not stand out in a meaningful way. In the secondary, some plays there. James Pierre had a nice day. Brandon Echols had a breakup. Hook zone underneath, got depth, broke up a pass, almost picked it off. Juan Thornhill had the play of the game defensively, a big pop over the middle on that Jaguars first drive to separate player from ball. So secondary making some plays overall. Some backup guys struggled. Kyler McMichael struggled tackling. Beanie Bishop thought had some nice plays, some good tackles, and some of those short throws in the flat. That was good to see. A couple others where I think it was one underthrown pass, one drop pass that could have been big completion. So I wasn't quite as high on his performance overall, in coverage especially, than maybe others. But as a tackler, he did a nice job there. Special teams mentioned the good punt return by Keyshawn Williams. Ben Sauls made his kicks, which was good. Nothing else super notable. I think Trey Sermon made some plays in kick coverage, and so that was good to see. We'll check the tape on he was kind of running in what units and he was getting opportunities where. But I think pretty solid overall. Just not a lot of sloppiness. Cameron McCutcheon had a holding call, but overall pretty happy with just as Tomlin would say, the cleanliness of this game. First one on the road, new environment. Would expect a lot more sloppiness. You didn't quite get it in this one. You had some offensive linemen. You had Doug Nestor getting called for a hold. New left tackle Andres Pete getting called for a false start, which I think was in the red zone too, which really backed Pittsburgh up. So, things you can't have, but just overall first time out pretty clean. So you take these things in context. It's one game, it's preseason action, but I thought overall a good showing, especially knowing Jacksonville played their starters in this one, at least early, and Pittsburgh still had success overall, getting a couple stops, scoring. So I think overall it was a nice outing. Health-wise, Pittsburgh seemingly in good shape. Team will be at training camp on Monday. Tuesday, the last day of camp, they'll break, have a joint practice Thursday against Tampa Bay before the Bucs preseason game Saturday at Acrisure, the only preseason home game of the exhibition slate. So let me know your thoughts below. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll dive into the tape. We'll do some videos, have some articles, more analysis on the way, but be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.